Hello and welcome to IGPP Expert Talks. I am Hina Goswami, editorial consultant with IGPP, Institute for Governance, Policies and Politics, New Delhi. Today, to discuss the upcoming Karnataka elections and the emerging electoral trends in Indian politics, we have with us Professor Sanjay Kumar. Professor Sanjay Kumar is professor and co-director of Lokniti, a research program at the Center for the Study of Developing Societies. A regular at TV programs and political debates, Professor Sanjay Kumar has written several books, published articles in various national and international research journals. His most recent book is Elections in India, an Overview. Welcome to IGPP Expert Talk, sir.
Thank you.
To begin with Karnataka election, what, in your opinion, are the issues that will decide Karnataka Assembly elections?
Very difficult to say what is the issue which is going to decide Karnataka election. But I think at the moment we can think of two kinds of issues. One are the national issues, and there's a lot of talk about the local issues. I think if you look at the strategy of two political parties, how they are trying to contest election, I mean BJP and Congress, BJP will try and shift the focus towards the national issues because that will go to the advantage of BJP. For the Congress, the advantage is if they keep the focus of election on local issues. So if we talk about the local issues, there are lots of local issues which are being discussed in Karnataka at the moment. One is with regard to Nandini and the Amul controversy. Corruption is a big issue. So both kinds of issue we would keep hearing in the run-up to the Karnataka election. I think if the election is focused more on the local issues, which is likely to be the case, I think Congress will be in a better position. But as soon as BJP big guns are going to campaign, Prime Minister Modi is going to come and campaign in the next few days' time. So the tendency would be to shift the focus on the national issues. So let's see, but my own sense is that a lot of local issues are going to dominate the Karnataka elections.
Political commentators have stipulated that Karnataka is gateway to the rest of the southern states. Karnataka is certainly a big state, with large population and rich resources. But would you agree with this, that it is gateway to the rest of the southern states, and BJP's victory or loss here would also be decisive in its electoral future in the neighboring states?
See, why people say it is a gateway? Gateway because if you look at geographically, if we are moving from north to the south, Karnataka is almost in the middle in a sense. If you have to travel to say Tamil Nadu or Kerala, so you have to pass Karnataka. So that is why it is called gateway. The other reason is because BJP has made huge inroads in Karnataka well in advance, maybe even 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So there is a lot of focus. And look, BJP has not been able to make inroads the similar way as they have been able to do in Karnataka if we are talking about the two states, say Tamil Nadu or Kerala. So there is a lot of talk that BJP has already made inroads in Karnataka. They are trying very hard in Telangana. They are also making an effort to make inroads in Andhra. So that is why I think this whole discussion that Karnataka is the gateway. BJP has been able to make inroads in Karnataka. They are eyeing to make inroads in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. So, and it is a big state. If you look at the population, if you look at the number of representative Karnataka sends to the Lok Sabha election. So that is why Karnataka is seen as a gateway to the southern state. We know if we look at the electoral performance of BJP in 2019, 2014, and even in the state assembly election, they have not been able to move beyond Karnataka in the southern state. Let's see how it plays out when then in the next few months till 2024 Lok Sabha election takes place.
Many of the MLAs in Karnataka Assembly have contested elections on tickets of more than one party, and both BJP and Congress are ridden with factionalism. Has factionalism and defection become a new norm of the Indian politics, or is Karnataka an exception for the number of defections that it had? And what would you attribute this factionalism and defection to?
So there are lots of questions in this question. No, Karnataka is not an exception. Don't forget large number of states from the northeast. Goa. Goa is an example. So there are a large number of states where you see such kind of defections, especially at the time of election. What is happening in Karnataka at the moment or for the last 3-4 months? Mostly people who are not getting the ticket in the party in which they have served for years or for decades, if they are denied ticket, they are shifting to other parties, and mostly it is towards Congress. So this is the case in Karnataka. But look at elsewhere in other states, what is happening? Mostly people are leaving other parties, mainly Congress, and joining BJP. It's kind of a slope. If the surface is even, so the flow of water will not be on one side or the other. But if the surface is uneven, whatever you do, the water will flow in the direction which would be on the lower side. So in Karnataka, I think many leaders are getting a sense that it is a contest, it is a tough contest, but many leaders are getting a sense that maybe Congress party is in a position to put up a challenge to BJP. So all those leaders who are not getting ticket in BJP, mostly a large number of them are shifting to Congress party. But look at elsewhere in other states what was happening or what has happened in the past. So it is all about perception. If the party is seen as in a serious contest or in a situation which can win election, the flow is in that direction. It's not new in Indian politics. It has been happening earlier also. The question is, why does it happen? I think ideology has very little role to play in Indian politics now. If it was about ideology, we would not have seen large number of defections from one party to another. People shifting from extreme left to extreme right to Congress to other parties. So lack of ideology in Indian politics is the reason why we see a lot of defection. The other reason is the leaders are losing patience, or they have very little patience. If you are in a party and they see that there is very little, or the party is not having good times, they want to shift to other parties because they want to become MLA, MP, minister. That's the reason why we see a lot of defection in Indian politics, what we are witnessing right now in Karnataka.
A related question is that, JDS, while in Karnataka, JDS remains an important regional party. But elsewhere, we have seen that regional parties have lost ground to national parties, and particularly to BJP. What is causing this eclipse of regional parties? Is it simply because of the resources that national parties command, or is there something more at work?
I would like to make a correction. It's not that regional parties are losing their ground. Regional parties in the North Indian states, regional parties of Hindi heartland may have lost ground. If we are talking about, say, Samajwadi Party or BSP or say JDU in Bihar, and we can take names of few other parties. But look at the regional parties which are in non-Hindi speaking states. They are still holding very strong. Odisha, Bengal, Andhra, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, large number of states where regional parties are still very, very strong. So look at the overall vote share. Yes, regional parties may have lost elections one or twice, but I think we need to look at the vote share. Vote share is a correct estimation of support base of parties, and I don't get a sense that regional parties are losing ground very, very fast. They're not losing ground. Yes, the regional parties in the North Indian states where the challenge is from the BJP, those regional parties are facing tough time. But the regional parties where BJP is still not very strong, still holding on and still relevant in the state politics, still relevant in the national politics.
Another trend that we see wherever BJP has been able to make inroads, that we don't see a lot of coalition governments. That was the norm earlier. Why is that so? And is it good for the democracy? Is it bad for the Indian democracy?
There is no, thermometer to figure out whether coalition government is good for democracy or is it bad for democracy. What do we understand by coalition government? Coalition government is a government of more than one political party. I think in a country like India, which has lots of socio-political, economic, differences, variations, it is natural to have large number of political parties. So if there is a situation where one single party has not been able to get a majority of seats, it is natural for large number of political parties to come together to form a government. if these parties form the government in a cohesive manner, I think there is no harm. But the Indian experience has not been good. Whenever more than one party have come together to form the government at the national level or in some other state, there has always been, or many times there has been, differences within the parties, and the government have not lasted long. But that was the experience in the early 90s. After 2000 or after 1999, all the coalition governments have lasted for full 5-year term. So it's very difficult for me to say whether I believe coalition government is good or bad for the country, or whether one party government is good or bad for the country. I think the government which works for the interest of the people, that's a good government. Coalition government can also be more successful, can serve the people's interest much better compared to a government run by one single party. It could be vice versa. So there is no parameter to judge whether a single party government is good, while I do get a sense talking to the people on the ground that a large number of Indians believe that one single party government is good or better compared to a coalition government. And that is why we have seen how BJP people have voted for BJP in 2014 and 2019. Also, if you look at the verdict in large number of states, in many states now the party which is winning the election is winning with a very large margin. So that's an indication that common voters believe that it is better to have a single party government rather than a government of large number of political parties, because they relate coalition government with instability.
We talked about the themes that will decide the Karnataka Assembly election, and both for Karnataka elections and the 2024 election. Do you think communal agenda will figure in the electoral calculation? Will it be a decisive theme for the upcoming elections?
It's like 12th man in the cricket team, or it's like a joker in the pack of cards. Why do you need them? You need them when there is a need, when there is a special requirement. If a player gets hurt, so he goes out of the field, and a 12th man comes in his place to do the fielding. Similarly, if the party feels that you can win election, you are in a very strong position without using this religious polarization strategy, I think that parties won't invoke this religious polarization strategy. But the very moment party realizes that they are not very confident of winning election, that's the time when parties invoke this religious polarization card. It could be on the side of mobilizing the minority vote or mobilizing the majority vote. Different parties have different support base. Some parties have larger support base among the majority community. So they try to devise strategy to mobilize the Hindu support base. There are parties which believe, or parties which get a sense that they have a very strong support base among the minority vote, especially the Muslim vote. So they invoke strategies to mobilize the Muslim vote. So looking at how elections have taken place during last 5-7 years, I don't think that this will be kept aside in all the elections. This will come into play in one form or the other in Karnataka elections, in elections which are due by end of this year, and certainly by 2024 Lok Sabha elections.
We live in an era where a lot of our information about politics, especially amongst the youngsters, is derived from social media. And on social media, political narratives can be constructed by a small group of very active social media users. So, in this era of manufactured narratives, do you think you run an organization which does election surveys? Do you think the people and political parties are losing sight of issues that are more dear to common man, and getting enrolled, getting engaged with the hubbub which may seem like important at the moment but is not important in the longer run?
Let's not underestimate political parties or political leaders. They have a very strong connect with the people of this country, with their voters. They understand what is the real issues which concerns the voter. But they are also they devise the strategy of their campaign in such a way, they understand what is the real issues which concerns the voters of this country. But if they think, or if they realize that this is not the issue which is going to give them votes, this is not the issue which can ensure victory for them, So they would not pick up those issues during the campaign. They would pick up, and that is why I was saying some parties want to contest election on a larger national issues, nationalism, national pride. National pride. How do you connect it with with the needs of the people? People's need. If you talk to the common people, what do people want? बिजली, सड़क, पानी, रोजगार, महंगाई कम की जाए. But if you look at the agenda of most of the political parties, not that political parties don't know that prices have gone up, unemployment is very high. They all really know that these are the issues. But most of the political parties try to keep these issues aside, pick up those issues, whether it is about caste-based mobilization, whether it is mobilization based on religious identities, whether it is mobilization based on national pride, etc. So political parties have connect with the people, they know what is the real issue. Not that social media has resulted in moving the attention of the political parties and political leaders away from the real issues. They know the real issues. But I think they use these tools to divert the attention of the people towards issues which are not the real issues of the people. That's the real problem.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and it was a very engaging conversation. Thank you, sir.